Now at 4, tracking severe weather, a tornado watch is now in effect for most of the metro area, and it will be with us until 6 o'clock tonight. A reminder, this means that conditions are favorable for a tornado to happen. Aside from the watch, our biggest threats today will be damaging winds and hail. Thank you so much for joining us for the news at 4. I'm Vanessa Rufus.
And I'm Bill McGinty. Glad you could be with us. The storm already causing damage in other parts of the South. This is video from a tornado in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The tornado destroyed a home and power lines nearby. The tornado was part of a series of storms that left a path of destruction across Alabama and Mississippi. We've got team coverage for you over the next 2.5 hours of this system. So we're going to begin right now with Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. He's been tracking the latest timing of where this storm is right now. Hey, Brad.
Yeah, it's pretty much right on us, Bill. That tornado watch is up until 6 o'clock. Everything's shaded in red. We might see some of these counties behind the line scaled back, but let me show you that watch close up. All those counties shown in red are basically where conditions are favorable for tornadic storms to develop. What's happened is we've had this warm front come surging through the area, and the southerly winds, look at these gusts. These are just outside of the thunderstorms, gusting to 35, 40 miles per hour. You see the temperatures. Boy, what a difference a few hours made. We jumped into the low, mid, and even upper 70s ahead of this line. And what I've been watching along this line, we've seen small areas of rotation developing within this line from time to time. That line is now pushing off to the east, and we're starting to see some very, very strong rotation within this line at times through the last couple of hours. We've seen that rotation develop through time and basically push off to the east and then weaken. So let me show you real quickly. I was going to put a storm track on this whole line as it moves through the metro area. It's just now entering Mooresville, Huntersville, and the Charlotte area. Here's an updated storm track. You could see Huntersville basically in the next 4 minutes, Lake Wiley around 4:11, and then Concord, Fort Mill, and Matthews around 4:55 or so until about 5 o'clock. Meteorologist Aisha Scott's been tracking this warm front all day, and Aisha, I tell you what, that warm air has just come plowing into the area.
That's right, Brad. You know, temperatures have really taken off, and I want to show you the numbers here because we've got that southerly and southwesterly wind, and you can see where that warm front is set up. So we've got temperatures in the low 70s from Charlotte, Concord, Rock Hill south, even some mid to upper 70s. But farther off to the northwest, we're sitting primarily in the low to mid 50s. So that warmer air, also those dew points climbing into the 60s, really a favorable atmosphere for these storms to strengthen. So again, we're going to watch it for the rest of the afternoon and into the evening. Now going forward tonight, I want to show you what we can expect here, because once that line clears, we aren't going to have a clear sky because we're still watching the upper level part of this system. So we'll have some clouds moving in early tomorrow morning. We'll also have a few more showers to deal with as we kick off the day tomorrow as well. But temperatures falling back into the 50s tonight, so it will be fairly mild. Now we'll talk more and continue to watch and track that line of storms moving through the area right now. But we'll let you know when everything clears out, and we'll have a better look at the weekend forecast as well. That's coming up in just a little bit. Bill?
Aisha, thank you. Make sure to download the WCNC Charlotte app. That way, if you happen to lose power at all, you'll be able to watch us on your phone or your tablet. You can also get the very latest forecast, and it's got all the up-to-date radars on it. It's free, and you can find it in your app store. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy, he's out in the Chevy Storm Tracker this afternoon. So, Chris, where are you right now, and how's it looking out there?
Right now, Bill, we're around Lowell, and check this out. It's very tough to see in front of you. At one point, you couldn't see in front of you just because of the intensity of the rain. And this would translate to the reds and some of the pinks that are popping up on the radar. Also, it's really tough to see, but if you look closely, there's significant ponding here on Interstate 85 as we're heading northbound. When this first rolled in, so this is one of the heavier rain clusters that is now moving into our area, you saw some lightning. The winds picked up slightly. Nothing really as a severe element, but this is all associated with that line and that first tornado warning that happened about an hour and a half to about coming together, but there's still going to be little spots of rotation along this, so that's why we're keeping a close eye. And of course, that's why we have that tornado watch that goes until 6 p.m. So one of those scenarios that is not great to be out in. That lightning is still going to be associated, and those winds could easily pick up on us. So not a great drive as people might be heading back from work. So please, please drive safe. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy reporting from the Chevy Storm Tracker.
And you too. Drive safe, Chris. Thank you. Our team coverage continue in Gaston County. We did see on that radar, looks like they are getting some rain as well. Our own Brandon Goldner is live for us in Gaston. How are the conditions looking, Brandon?
Well, Vanessa, the conditions simply are awful out here with the heavy rain continuing to come down at a steady pace. We've been seeing a lot of lightning and thunder. This is also a big problem, especially with this storm being so late in the day. All of this traffic that you have going off of exit 21, this is Franklin Boulevard, Cox Road. This is an area where you have a lot of crashes in general, and then just to have all of this rain and this traffic coming down. Let me flip around, just show you a little bit of what we're seeing. The rain is starting to let up a little bit, but this is the issue we've been seeing a lot of, is how wet these roads are. And then I'm going to pan over here and show you, this is what 85 is looking like. Right, you can see a little bit of some cars coming through. That is 85 heading north. There was a bit of traffic slowing down there, but it looks like it has picked back up right now. A lot of people actually out here still shopping around. A lot of people running to their cars as this rain was coming down. It looks like the clouds are starting to part just a little bit and starting to get a little bit lighter, but right now heavy storms are going to be checking in with Gaston County Emergency Management to see if they've had any issues so far with this band of rain coming through. Live in Gastonia, Brandon Goldman, WCNC Charlotte.
Brandon, thanks. Be safe. Our weather coverage continues now in Mecklenburg County. Chloe Leshner out there for us. Chloe, where are you and how are things looking?
Hey, Bill, we are off of South Tryon Street in Southwest Charlotte, and right now we have not seen any rain. The main thing that we're experiencing out here are the winds, and they kind of are coming in bursts. Every few minutes we'll kind of get a strong push of those winds, and then they slow down for a little bit. But if you can see right now, kind of the tree branches are swaying, and as we've been out here all day kind of looking at the conditions, it's been really interesting to watch the sky, because out over to one side it's a little bit clearer and brighter, but then over to my left the clouds are dark, and they've kind of been changing. They looked a little bit darker before, but as we are kind of expecting that rain to come into this area, for now we really are just seeing those winds, but we will keep you updated as things change out here. But for now, live in Charlotte, Chloe Leshner, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, Chloe, thanks. Be safe. Taking a live look right now at FlightAware's misery map. You can see there's a lot of issues to report at airports around the southeast today. This weather delaying a whole lot of flights. WCNC Charlotte's Ashley Daly live at the airport for us today. So Ashley, I would imagine this is going to cause some sort of a backup for people.
Yeah, Bill, as you were just mentioning, FlightAware actually shows Charlotte Douglas is the second most delayed airport in the country. In fact, we're also told that due to weather, arrival traffic is experiencing an airborne delay of between 16 and 30 minutes, and that's increasing. And because of that delay, it's also causing delays here on the ground. And to give you an idea of the conditions that pilots are having to deal with, take a look at these flags just whipping. And then, of course, you can see those dark clouds in the background. But I do want to take a quick break from weather to tell you why we're here at the airport today. Today, the airport is wrapping up a 2-day COVID-19 vaccination event. Now, as long as weather permits, the event is happening here tonight until 7 this evening. And by the time it ends, we're told more than 4,600 people will have received their vaccine. As we mentioned, this event is set up specifically for those in Group 3 who work in transportation and in the airline industry. So that includes pilots, flight attendants. It also includes those who work in the airport as a vendor or in operations. Now, Charlotte Douglas serves as the second largest hub for American Airlines, and officials say they're hopeful that by giving these employees direct access to the vaccine, it will not only keep them and travelers safe, but will impact the local economy as well.
It'll further support endeavors to protect the traveling public, get our aviation business back up and running, get people moving, and get our cargo moving as well.
Now, the vaccination event comes as airline travel peaked this month. Many experts believe it could be tied to spring break travel. Coming up, we'll continue to keep an eye on flight delays here, but we're also going to tell you about the newest recommendations from Mecklenburg County's Director of Public Health and what she has to say if you do plan on traveling for spring break. Reporting live at Charlotte Douglas, Ashley Daly, WCNC Charlotte.
Ashley, thank you. Take a look at some of the video that we got out of Lincolnton. You can see the area getting hit with some pretty decent-sized hail. Brad has been telling us for days now that hail would be one of the biggest threats from this storm. And because of that, We have a presentation here. Stay indoors. This is good advice for anytime you start to see hail. Close the blinds and the shades because, you know, hail when it comes at you sideways can definitely break glass. Maybe draw the curtains if you happen to be out on the road and you're getting hail and you encounter hail. Pull over, obviously pull over safely, find a safe spot to be able to do that. Find protection from breaking glass, maybe under an underpass or pull into a gas station, use the overhangs, make use of anything you have. So absolutely be careful when you're out on the roads or, you know, even in your home dealing with hail. Just recognize the danger that it is. Brad?
I'll take it from here. Thank you. You know, as the storms continue to roll through our area, we do want to see what you are seeing. So if you can do it safely, keyword safely here, text us your pictures or video. You can send them to us by texting the number on your screen. That's 704-329-3600.
Thanks, Vanessa. We're tracking the leading edge of these storms moving into Mecklenburg County right now. Should be in Charlotte within the next 15 minutes or so. Then T.G.K. around 4:30, Fort Mill around 4:40, Matthews, Weddington, Indian Trail closer to 5 o'clock. Coming up, we'll have some updated storm tracks and given the all clear sign for folks to the west, now the storms have moved through.
It's Mattress.
Welcome back here. We are taking a look at first warn Doppler radar. You can see it is lit up, and a reminder that the whole area is under a tornado watch until 6 this evening. Brad has been tracking the movement of the storm through our area. He joins us now with an update. Hey, Brad.
Thanks, Vanessa. We're keeping an eye on these storms moving through the area right now. Let me quickly show you where that line is. It's basically right over us right now as it moves across the Piedmont. We're seeing a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning. In fact, let me zoom into a couple locations here because into northern Mecklenburg County, we're seeing some active cloud-to-ground lightning up towards Salisbury. I've got the temperatures on here as well because you can see how warm it is ahead of that front and also how strong the winds are just ahead of that. Let's show you a little bit closer, and I'm going to do a couple storm tracks on here real quickly just to show you the speed of this. Now again, anywhere in this line, potentially some gusty winds, small hail, cloud to ground lightning, and still the possibility of a tornado. We are under a tornado watch until 6 o'clock. But the good news is once this line moves through, you're in the clear for severe weather. That is pushing off to the east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So Rock Hill, 445, Matthews, closer to 450, and then towards Red Cross, Unionville, Monroe, Wingate, Marshville, between 5 and 530. So this is moving east fairly quickly. That's the good news. The bad news is we have seen a lot of wind with this and even some damage to some tree branches. Now behind it, this is the all clear. Everybody west of that line is clear from severe. So you're out of the woods for severe weather, and we're starting to see the tornado watch scale back. And just to show you that tornado watch, you can see Cleveland County was just removed from the tornado watch, and as this line moves through, I expect we'll see additional counties removed from this line. Now let me show you futurecast real quickly just to show you where that storm is going to go as it goes through the evening off to the east. We've seen this surge of thunderstorm fuel just ahead of that. That warm front has driven a lot of this into the region, but as we go through the evening, you see the thunderstorm fuel begins to wane, it pushes out, and we actually start to see improving conditions. So while most of the day it's been miserable cloud, drizzle, and mist, in the last couple of hours we've seen the spike in temperatures and eventually these storms rolling in. Now we're starting to see them push through the area. Meteorologist Aisha Scott has a look at what's going to happen the rest of the evening, and pretty quick movement of the system, Aisha. We are likely going to see conditions improve rapidly.
That's the good news, Brad. This line is moving pretty quickly, so I want to give you a timeline here, because here we are right now. So this is at 4 o'clock. However, as we work our way closer to, say, 7, 8 o'clock, this line will start to push farther to the east. So this is 8 o'clock this evening, this line pushing across parts of Richmond County, even over towards Chesterfield County, Anson County, and then we're actually mainly clear across most of our viewing area by 8 o'clock this evening. However, we will start to see those clouds roll back in. So this is 5 o'clock in the morning Friday. We've got some showers out there, and certainly we've got clouds as well. But notice our winds will shift out of the northwest. That's going to bring in some cooler air. And what's happening here is we've got the upper level part of this system. So we've got an area of low pressure that's higher up in the atmosphere. That's going to move across the region. So that's going to still make things a little bit more unstable. So can't rule out some showers early tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock though, most of the rain starts to move out, pushing into central North Carolina, into Virginia, and then into the afternoon we really start to dry things out. But again, it will be cooler off of that northwest wind, and we'll likely have some clouds sticking around tomorrow afternoon as well. Now it is quite gusty out there. We've got those breezy southerly winds. We're up to 26 miles per hour right now in Charlotte, 33 in Rock Hill, and look what happens as we work our way through the rest of the afternoon. The winds, we will start to see those winds certainly increasing and picking up into tomorrow afternoon, and then things will start to quiet down into the weekend. Now, Brad, how are we looking as we work our way into the weekend?
Yeah, we are going to see some much colder conditions moving in over the next couple of days, Aisha. As you mentioned, once the system moves out, temperatures are only going to be in the low 50s tomorrow with morning lows in the 40s. And this weekend, gardeners, I know everybody's wanted to plant early, and we got the growing season kicked off here in the last 2 weeks, but we're likely going to see a frost or freeze both Saturday and Sunday morning, with temperatures dropping down into the lower 30s, maybe a few spots in the upper 20s. But again, line of severe storms moving through the area right now. It's pretty much right over Interstate 77. Once it pushes off to the east, though, skies will begin to clear a little bit, and we actually should see the severe weather move out of the area, Bill.
All right, Brad, that's good news. Our weather coverage continues right now. York County split in half, with the county, half the county under a medium risk, the other half under a high risk. Joining us this afternoon, York County's Emergency Management Director, Chuck Haynes. Chuck, thanks for being here. You seeing any damage down there?
No damage yet. We've had a few calls generated because of some weather on our western side of the county, but right now, so far, so good.
What's the plan? And I know, whenever severe weather hits, your plan, like ours, is always fluid. What's your plan as things progress here?
We have crews ready to go, and our equipment's been prepped, waiting on the weather to get here. It looks like we may escape the worst of it, and that's what we're hoping for.
What are you telling residents there? You're there. People concerned about this?
Yes, of course. We always encourage people to tune in to local media and keep informed, and of course monitor their weather alert radios. And so that's what we've been continuing to tell people, and hope they follow our guidance.
Chuck Haynes in Rock Hill, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Vanessa?
Thank you, guys. We'll remind folks at home when conditions are safe for you. Be sure to send us pictures or video from your neighborhood. Let us know what you are seeing. Do it by texting pictures or video. Once again, the number on your screen, 704-329-3600. Be safe. Stay with us. We will be back in 3 minutes.
Hi, everybody. Back on the road.
You, our viewers, severe weather being seen all throughout the area. Tornado watch in effect until 6 p.m. And as these storms continue to roll through the area, we do want to see what you're seeing. If you can do it safely, text us your pictures or even some video. You can send them to us by texting 704-329-3600.
Well, we know this past year has been hard on all of us. Many have seen their mental health take a hit during this pandemic. And so today, Coach Lamont shares how to rise above all of this in the times of darkness.
Have you ever experienced one negative attack after another? There was a time I could remember that every time I had settled into a place of security, life would deal me another blow. It is hard to maneuver through life when dealing with objections intended to wage war against you. Maybe you're watching this and you're in a place in your life where it seems that everything and anything has waged war against you. I have been there. I remember thinking maybe I deserved it, so I stopped fighting. But one day I decided I was not created to just suffer pain. I was created to fulfill purpose. We don't know why life delivers unexpected blows, but we are strong enough to endure. If you search within you, you will find the champion that learned and that knows how important it is to get back up when you get knocked down. The fall doesn't destroy you. Staying down does.
So true. And we want to remind you that if you or a loved one are facing thoughts of self-harm, there is help that is readily available. You can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 800-273-8255. You can also chat with them online. Well, we are continuing to track severe weather in our area. There you can see it is on the radar. We are tracking it. Stay with us. Our team weather coverage continues on the other side of this break.
Brothers.
Now at 4:30, we're keeping an eye on severe weather in our area. A tornado watch is now in effect for most of the metro area, and it will be with us until 6 this evening. A reminder that a tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for a tornado to happen. And aside from that watch, our weather team tells us our biggest threats today will be damaging winds and hail. Thank you so much for sticking with us here for the news at 4:30. I'm Vanessa Rufus.
Yeah, and I'm Bill McGinty. Thanks for being with us. The storm has already caused damage in other parts of the South. This is video from a tornado that occurred in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The tornado destroyed a home and some nearby power lines. The tornado was part of a series of storms that left that path of destruction all through Alabama and Mississippi. We've got team coverage over the next 2.5 hours. We want to start with Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Brad has been tracking the very latest timing of where this storm is and when it is going to be hitting. Brad?
Yeah, I tell you what, Bill, I'm watching this storm in York County very closely because we just had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for Mecklenburg and York County because of this storm, but it has me a little concerned because there are signs of rotation within the mid and upper levels of this storm, and the look of it on radar is starting to take on that look that we typically see when storms start to provide low-level rotation. This is probably rotating if you're in Lake Wiley, if you're in areas of southwestern Mecklenburg County, the Palisades area, McDowell Nature Preserve area, you know that area, then heading towards Steel Creek, Pineville, Carowinds, northern part of Fort Mill towards the Pineville area. I'm going to want you to go ahead and maybe get towards the middle of the house just to be on the safe side with this one. Make sure the kids are inside. If you know anybody that lives in that area, shoot them a text real quick, maybe call them. I would just rather be overly cautious with this storm. The environment ahead of it is conducive for storms to rotate, and I'm going to go in close and kind of show you a storm track of this, because this storm in particular is probably the strongest one we've seen, and it's moving right into the heart of our metro area. So we're talking about Tegakay at 440, Lake Wylie at 443, Pine Harbor at 445, Pineville right around 457, and then southern part of Charlotte at around 511, Matthews, if it holds on, 516. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to switch over to our velocity data real quickly, and this is on the west side of Lake Wylie. Can you see right there these brighter colors? Those are winds away from the radar. So the winds are blowing towards Lake Wylie. The reds, and then you get into the greens here, are blowing towards the radar. So there is broad rotation on the west side of Highway 274. This is South Farman Road here, south of 49, just north of 161 here in York County. So that's the area of concern right now. This could drop a tornado with little or no warning here on the west side of Lake Wylie, cross over the lake. Buster Boyd Bridge is right here, and then heading into areas of southwestern Mecklenburg County. We just got another radar pass there, and there is clearly some broad rotation right there. As I look at this, I'm checking with a couple of our spotters down in that area, and so far I have not seen any ground truth to this. I'm waiting for some people to send me some shots from down in that area, because we've got a lot of spotters down in that area. But again, at the very least, this is producing some hail as well. So if you're in this area, I would go ahead and get the car in the garage, because potentially there is some small hail embedded in that line. Right there over Concord, Pineville, Fort Mill, that kind of little southwestern corner of Mecklenburg County. And I know we have, I think Chloe went down that way. Hopefully, if she's listening, please make sure you stay safe down there as that storm moves in. So currently it's just a severe thunderstorm warning, and I don't even like saying that, because severe thunderstorm warnings, they can be strong. Remember, your house doesn't care what produces the wind, whether it's a tornado or straight line, it's going to be damaged. Also, severe thunderstorm warnings by definition can often produce tornadoes with a little or no warning. So, Bill, we're keeping an eye. Sorry, I went a little long-winded there, but we're going to keep a close eye on this storm, because potentially we could see a tornado drop out of this at any moment, Bill. And it literally can just drop right down out of it. Yeah, and the whole reason we're, kind of doing this is because sometimes the warnings don't come out until the tornado's on the ground. What we're seeing here are those ingredients, the precursors to a tornado in these vicinities. And meteorologist Aisha Scott is in here with me as well. She's monitoring the situation as it moves towards Lake Wylie. One thing I will tell you, just looking at it as well, there is some pretty large hail in that storm. So if you are in that area of Lake Wylie, get the car in the garage immediately. Those brighter returns right there, that is some hail. There's certainly some hail coming out of that storm as it's now about to cross over Lake Wylie. It's just south of the Daniel Stowe Botanical Gardens there, southeastern Gaston County, northeastern part of York County, southwestern Mecklenburg County. It's heading towards Shopton Road and Youngblood Road, that area right down there, Rivergate area. Down there as you go down South Tryon heading towards the lake. So we're going to keep a close eye on that, Bill, but that has me a little worried just because of the look of it on radar, and it looks like it's intensifying as it's crossing the Mecklenburg County line.
All right, thanks for keeping an eye on that, Brad, and keeping us posted. And this is a great time to remind folks at home to download that WCNC Charlotte app. That way, if you lose power, or as Brad is suggesting for some folks in our viewing area, to get away from maybe the television, you have to get towards the center of your home, you can still be able to watch us on your phone and get that critical information you need. You can also get the latest forecast, and you can see the radar on it. It is free in your app store. Want to continue our team coverage here with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy, who is out in our Chevy Storm Tracker this afternoon. And Chris, I can see it looks like it's still raining where you are.
Yeah, a good amount of rain coming down, and we're just north of that severe thunderstorm warning. And what's been really interesting, so what you're looking at right ahead of us is where just the general bands of rain associated with that system. But looking closely, when we park, you can visibly see a spin to the atmosphere. My wife even was saying at the house that the rain was blowing sideways in one direction, it stopped, and then it was blowing sideways from another direction. So even though nothing came to fruition, we have all the right ingredients in place. And as Brad was saying, we saw some hail earlier, but this is all the makings. It was most unstable down in South Carolina where it was a little bit warmer, and we also have that visible shear to the atmosphere. And watch out when you're looking around. There's a lot of hanging clouds from this storm system. Those are referred to as scud clouds. You have to see a visible rotation with it to actually make it a funnel cloud. As of right now, we have all the right ingredients. I'll repeat myself there. Heavy rain, certainly, flashes of lightning, but we are heading right towards that severe thunderstorm warning that could be upgraded to a tornado warning. We'll continue to keep you updated here from the Chevy Storm Tracker. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy.
Thank you, Chris. Once again, drive safely out there. And, you know, speaking of driving safely, we are monitoring some crashes in our area. Our team coverage continuing in Gaston County. That's where we find WCNC Charlotte's Brianna Harper, who is on scene of a nasty crash out there. What can you tell us, Bree?
Yeah, Vanessa, we were actually just driving here along 85 and northbound, and just on the other side of the median, we noticed a lot of first responders, a lot of flashing lights. We're still working to get some more information, but what we could see from our vantage point was like there was at least two different 18-wheeler trucks involved in this crash. At least one of them looked to have some front-end damage, and for a while now, at least two lanes of 85 southbound were closed, so they were kind of bringing traffic to a slow crawl. Some of those first responders have cleared the scene, so they've allowed some of that traffic to start flowing freely, but no word yet if there has been any injuries related to this crash. We don't know if there were any cars involved either, but again, two 18-wheelers that look to be involved in this, so you definitely want to take your time. I know the sun came out now, but the roads are still wet, so you want to keep that in mind as you're heading home or going to where you need to go. For now, reporting live along I-85 in Gastonia. I'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you, Bree. Yeah, hopefully everyone's okay. And just a good reminder to adjust your driving to the conditions. Slow it down, increase that following distance. Okay, of course, as storms continue to roll through our area, we will track it. Let us know what you're seeing in your neck of the woods. If you can do this safely, of course, text us your pictures or video. There's the number to do it. Text 704-329-3600. Stay with us. We will be back in 3 minutes.
hits, Brad puts your safety first.
My home is in the path of this storm. Online, on our app, on TV. Don't let your guard down.
See the difference on WCNC Charlotte.
All right, welcome back. As you heard me talk about, I knew we'd probably see a tornado warning with this cell, and sure enough, a new tornado warning just issued for southwestern Mecklenburg County, northern York County, into areas of Union County. This is eerily similar track to the February 6th tornado of last year, which tracked from about the Cabarrus exit, Pineville area, all the way to Matthews. It's a little bit further north of there. And let me go to the radar full screen, guys. I want to show you the rotation. So there's the warning. Again, if you live in the path of the storm, get to shelter now. We were trying to give you the heads up before the warning was issued. Hopefully you called and texted your friends as we talked about. But I want to zoom in on the rotation itself. There's Choate Circle. This is right near where Cabarrus Boulevard meets up with 49 there and 160 there, just on the south side of town. So there's Hamilton Road, Shopton Road, Strong. That's the Rivergate Shopping Center right there in the middle of your screen. That's where the rotation is. Now, where is it going? It's pushing off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So it's heading into the Pineville area, eventually going to head over towards areas near Charlotte Catholic High School, Quail Hollow Middle School, South Meck, basically Atrium Pineville area, just north of the Regent Park area. As you cross the border, then it's going to move over towards the Providence Road area, Carmel Country Club, down towards Providence High School, right along Pineville Matthews Road. That's kind of the track it's taking right now. So again, if you're listening to me on air, online, social media, wherever you are, and you know there's people that live in those areas, don't assume they know this is happening. Please shoot them a call, a text, a DM, whatever you can, because this is heading towards the east. It also, just FYI, there's some large hail in there as well, so you're not going to want to be outside in this storm at all. I want to quickly pop up my camera from South Charlotte. This is looking west. This is actually a camera on the roof of my house, and unfortunately this storm is heading towards my house again, like last year, but you can see off towards the west there, that lowering. That's the area I'm looking for. So this is looking directly back towards Cabarrus and Atrium Pineville, the hospital there. So that's the area that this camera is looking, and the area we're talking about is right there, moving into southern Mecklenburg County. So again, tornado warning for Mecklenburg, Union, and York. It's in that weird spot. And if you live in the northern tip of Lancaster County, you're under a warning too. Even though it doesn't show it on the map, disregard that, please, because that's another Weather Service office. The tornado does not stop at the county line. It is going in a straight line, and it's heading basically right towards Pineville from the Rivergate area. Now, meteorologist Chris Mulcahy, he's on this storm. I think he's traveling on 77, and I'm looking at your camera right now, Chris. I see the lowering. Is that the direction you're heading?
Yeah, Brad, we are looking right at it now. So we just pulled off on Tryon, so that was from exit 1 on 485. So this is where it all begins. So you can see the very front of the storm. We can't zoom in right now. It's that general lowering, and there's always going to be what's one part of the storm that we can refer to as the bear's cage. At that point, it's a bunch of rain. That's usually the hail core that's within that. But right now, if you head south on Tryon, you are seeing the beginning of that storm. So we're really close to those reds on the radar. Next stop's going to be those pinks. Those pinks are picking up on the hail core. A lot of times, if you watch some videos, big hail can come down as a proceeding before a tornado is possible. So we're about to drive. We're going to be very safe here, but you can see the leading edge of this, Brad, as it's working its way off towards the east at 35 miles per hour. The rain's starting to pick up. You never want to drive in this. We're going to try to be just on the outside to see exactly what is happening. It's anywhere right around the TK area. Pretty broad rotation right now, but you definitely see that this is a more serious storm. So there it is right now. If you're anywhere near here, this is the time that you have to be especially safe.
Yeah, I'm watching that same thing now, and unfortunately, I text my wife again 2 years in a row that get to shelter. She's on the way there right now, but that storm is in right there now about to move just north of Cabarrus. So it's basically right on the state line where we're seeing that circulation. We'll come back to that in a second. Chris, if you can get a better view, please try to get a view of that safely, where I want to show you the circulation. So this is 77 going south, and you know where the rest area is, just when you cross the border there in South Carolina. It's very close to there. So those Choate Circle, which comes over towards, Cabarrus and Cabarrus right there. Pineville is right over here. This is 485. So it's basically just south of Westinghouse, Hebron area, that road there. There's the circulation. And let me just show you, it's clearly showing up on radar. Right there is the circulation. And let me show you the circulation right there. So the radar is telling me that we've got winds rotating right there on I-77 at the state line. That's exactly where the rotation is. Not only do we see that on the radar, but the signature, and what I mean by signature, just the shape of the storm, the hail core, the whole organization, this is a classic supercell. These are the type of storms that you don't want to see because it's all by itself. It's feeding off of this warm, humid air over southern Mecklenburg County, northern York, the panhandle of Lancaster County, and it's moving east. So it's really important that we do a storm track on this for the people that are ahead of it. Right here, I'm going to track the worst part of the storm. Now, some of this is going to be outside of our polygon. Some of it will be inside. But again, here are the neighborhoods: Pineville, Tuckaway Park, Old Providence, Matthews, Hood, Stallings, Mint Hill, Lake Park, Goose Creek, and Benton's Crossroads. Now, some of these are neighborhoods, some of these are towns, some of these are old post offices. So some of these will show up in our database. Now, remember, if you're in the path of the storm, you need to get to the middle of your house, the most interior room. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you have a helmet, grab the helmet, put it on your head. Bring your shoes in there. If there's debris or your home is damaged, you're going to have to climb out over that. We don't want bare feet or socks because you'll be walking on broken glass, nails, and wood. So please get to that interior room. I know a lot of you live in townhomes, apartments. You may not be able to get to the lowest floor of the building. If you can't, still go to the middle of your floor. If you can, get down to the lower floors if it's possible. If not, just in your apartment or your condo or townhome, go to that middle room. But again, there is the tornado warning. Southern Mecklenburg, northern tip of Fort Mill area of York County, Cabarrus exit, then northern part of Indian Land. So we're talking about the area basically just south of Ballantyne. That area is kind of called South Ballantyne, northern Indian Land there as you go into 521 going across the state line. Big View Diner down there, Sports Connection, heading up towards the Super Walmart there. As you cross the border, that's right the area we're talking about, and then up into the Ballantyne area. Then it's going to move east. So areas basically towards Ray Road, and then over towards Providence and Weddington, heading south going into Waxhaw. If you're getting off those exits, that's a busy area this time of day. So you likely know family or friends that are traveling home. They have probably no idea what's going on right now. Call, text them, DM them, do whatever you have to let them know. I have found in these situations more people hear from family or friends about severe weather than they do from me or from the radio or from the TV. So use that power. We can communicate with them, get that information to them. And the worst case scenario in this situation is your home gets hit, but also hail, trees can come down, cause debris in the roads. Car accidents are just as big as an issue in these situations as a tornado warning. So I'm going to update the storm track real quickly. And I know...
Speaking of that, I mentioned the hail.
Yeah.
A lot of times too, when we see that pink that's showing up in these storms, that's a really good indication of hail. So just another thing to be aware of. But as Brad mentioned, you certainly need to be in your safe space at this point.
Yeah, and the hail is actually what caught my eye initially. Why is hail important in these situations? Because when we see large hail, we know the storm is very tall in the atmosphere, so this storm has definitely gathered a lot of strength. Just going through, a lot of my Twitter feed is blowing up now with people that are seeing a lowering in this area. No one has spotted a tornado per se, but we've seen a lot of people spot that lowering. And I know meteorologist Chris Mulcahy, he's in our Chevy Storm Tracker, and while the radar is great to look at, Chris, I love to see what's actually happening out there to give us some visual idea of what's going on. What are you seeing?
Yeah, we had the hail officially move through. It was pea-sized hail, so not especially large. I would go pea to dime-sized hail that was coming down. We're here on Tryon, so a tremendous amount of rain, and you could feel the twist of the winds. So we were just outside. So where Brad has been showing the signature on the velocity scope of where this thing potentially could be, we were just on the outskirts of that, and the hail was coming down on the outskirts of that, just to the north here on Tryon. But then you could also see the change in the winds that are revolving around it, because that's how this all works. There's different downdrafts that are twisting back into this system, and the visible imagery that we're seeing just even driving around, there's a lot of twists of the atmosphere. So as this is continuing, so again, right where you're seeing those pinks, where you're seeing the velocity scope, where there's a little bit of rotation, we're just to the north of that. So we're just on the outside. Our next point of action is going to be moving closer to 77. But I need everyone to be especially safe with this, because we're heading into a very populated area. Even driving around, that the lightning was picking up, the hail. We have all the right ingredients that within a matter of seconds, this could be dropping down. But let's look really closely as we're getting up on this. You can see the edge of the clouds, but then it's just down to the south. You can see the edge of this system. I'm not picking up on where the funnel cloud potentially could be or that, but definitely everything is pointing to that we have everything could quickly change in an instant. So Brad, we're going to continue to try to get behind it. The safest way for us to track this is to be behind the system. We're just around it, but everyone needs to be careful, especially where we have the intersection of 485 to 77. The rain was really coming down. This is a pretty mean storm, and this is only the leading edge.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I know exactly where you are, and we're going to focus in on that area. So where Chris is basically where 485 and 77 come together. This is heading towards basically the South Boulevard exit on 485, which then goes over towards the Pineville-Matthews Road exit right there by Carolina Place Mall. You get the Home Depot off to the right there. You know, if you're going to Atrium Health Center right there, that's where the circulation is. And so as we look at the circulation just on the north side of Pineville, so some of the roads that are in here, that's South Boulevard. There's East Hebron Street. So, you know, the light rail line comes straight down here and goes all the way down to the 485 stop on the blue line. So that's the area we're talking about right there. And it's pushing off to the east, and it's basically heading towards areas just along Park Road and Sharon Road West. So just south of Park Road Park, and then maybe as far south as Pineville are the areas of concern. Now, I'm actually going to pop up the camera down there in that area. This is actually near Pineville. This is actually from the roof of my house. So this is looking off towards the west-southwest. Off to the right is the storm, and I'm looking at the bottom. I know our super's kind of blocking it, but at the very bottom, I actually can see a little lowering just above the tree line. Now, I can't see a tornado per se, but I see what looks like a wall cloud, and that's in the exact same spot that we're tracking this storm. So again, this is the problem. We've got this tornado warning with this cell, which is tracking basically just north and along Pineville-Matthews Road. I mean, this is eerily similar to the track we had last year. Now, meteorologist Aisha Scott is in the Weather Center with me as well. And Aisha, are you seeing any other reports come in from that area?
I'm not seeing any reports, but Brad, I was looking at, you know, the radar, and typically when we have these tornado warnings, we look for kind of like this hook. And you can see it a little bit there. If zoom in a little bit closer towards like the Lake Ridge area, so you can see a little bit of a hook right along 160 here. So again, just a heads up, you should be in your safe place at this point. I want to talk about, though, where you need to go, right? Because whenever we talk about, obviously, tornadoes, you want to head to your safe place, and you want to do it quickly. So the lowest level of your home, if you're in a building, go to the lowest level of that building. So a basement, a small center room, away from any windows. You do not want to be near windows, because if there is a tornado that actually makes it down to the ground, then you have debris flying around that could actually bust some of those windows. So you do want to cover yourself as well. If you have a helmet, you want to get that helmet ready to go. You should be in your safe place right now. It's also good if you download our WCNC weather app so that you can watch along with us, or if you don't have your phone right there with you, make sure you turn the TV up so that you can hear us good. Now, also, if you're in, say, a building, we've got a lot of high rises here, especially in the uptown area. Go to the lowest floor of that high rise, away from walls, away from those windows. Again, grab that if you have a bike helmet, maybe a football helmet, any kind of helmet, just to make sure that your head is safe. Certainly do that as well. If you could take some thick blankets, if you don't have any helmets, take those thick blankets as well and put them over top of your head if you have time, and you can grab a mattress. That also works, just to make sure that you are safe as we continue to watch this tornado, or this tornado warning, I should say, which we haven't gotten any reports that there's anything on the ground just yet. But again, that doesn't even matter, because when you do have these tornado warnings, you want to act as if there is something on the ground, Brad.
Yeah, I'm just getting some amazing pictures in from that area down around the 485 I-77 corridor of a wall cloud. So I could see that from the camera at the house. I could see that from a lot of the pictures you're tweeting at me. Thank you very much for sending those my way. So we have a wall cloud. And if you know what a wall cloud is, it's essentially a lowering that forms below the rotating updraft, and it's the precursor to a tornado touching down. So it's one of those steps in the process of tornado genesis. So just to give you a quick tour of where this system is, the rotation right now is just along Park Road and Sharon Road. So this is just south of Tyvola, so just southwest of South Park Mall. Glen Eagles Road area just between there. So it's heading towards the Y there, pushing off towards the east. It's eventually going to head over close to Colony, the Carmel Country Club area, then head over Providence Road. And it looks like it's pushing east towards Matthews. So it's in that area between South Park Mall and basically Highway 51 there. So it's moving east around 35 miles per hour. The only good news I can tell you, just looking at the radar here without seeing more visuals, is that the circulation does not look nearly as tight as it did earlier. So I'm going to do a track on the circulation. We're not going to track the rain or the hail. We're just going to track where the circulation is going. So in Matthews, 5:09 p.m., Stallings, 5:13, Mint Hill, 5:17. But again, in between there, we've got a lot of roads that this is going to cross over. So just let me go in real quickly and show you. So it's going to cross over Colony Road in the next, I'd say, minute or so, Sharon Few Road, then Providence Road, then Sardis Road, then pushing east towards Monroe, McAlpine Station Drive, pushing east. Then eventually it's going to cross over Independence as it pushes east just south of the Plaza Midwood area, then pushing east towards Idlewild, and then over towards Hoods as it gets back towards areas in Matthews, over there towards areas just near the Costco there in Matthews, as you're going over towards downtown Matthews area, and just to the south of Mint Hill. So that's kind of the track that it's taking as it pushes off to the east. So again, the warning is up until 5:30. That's a whole 30 minutes from now, but it's more than likely that this might maintain itself because it's all by itself. You can see how it's detached from the rest of the line. That means it has the potential to tap into its own energy. There's no storms interfering with its inflow. This line has really gone gangbusters in the last hour. There's actually 2 tornado warnings up in the Greensboro, Winston-Salem area as well. So if you have friends or family up there, just a heads up, might want to call them and let them know. And the storm to the south we're keeping an eye on as well. So you see how their storms have separated this afternoon. When those storms separate like that, they become discrete. That's what we sometimes we worry about as far as supercell storms be able to maintain themselves. So again, there's the rotation in the storm. I'm going to go in close. The good news is just looking at, and this is just radar indicated, the circulation has weakened quite a bit within that cell. So that's a good sign. One of the things, the tools we have on first warn Doppler radar is debris detection. And this is a little muddied here, but without getting too deep in the weeds, the areas of the yellows there, we know there's different shaped objects in the air. Now, immediately, I would not say that's all debris. It's probably not, because there's hail in that storm. Hail's different size than raindrops. And so when we have different sized objects next to each other in the storm, they show up as those basically shades of yellow and green. When it's all rain or one side, it shows up maroon. So this is a product that dual pole Doppler allows us to see debris. or different shaped objects in the storm, but it's being clouded up a little bit because we do have some hail in that storm. That hail looks to be closer to the Myers Park and Dilworth area, so there's some hail on the north side. The storm is, though, taking on a shape less and less like a supercell, which is good news as it moves through southern Mecklenburg County and begins to weaken a little bit. The area right now that I'm seeing the circulation is actually shifting north of Sharon Road and Providence, so this is more up in the Dilworth area, Myers Park, Queens Road West right there near Queens University. There's Queens Road. This is heading towards Randolph Road. So right in that area in the middle of your screen, and what I'm going to do is kind of show you the circulation. These colors, and so for what you're looking at here, and I'm kind of dissecting this live on the air, is the reds are essentially winds going away from the radar, which is down or up to the north, so the winds are going away, and then the greens are going towards, so we're getting some rotation within there, but a little bit of outflow as well in that area, so maybe becoming a little bit more of a downburst right there. So that's the area of greatest concern. So if you're just joining us, we're at the top of the hour. It's 5 o'clock. You're watching WCNC Charlotte, and we're tracking severe weather and tornado warnings moving through southern parts of Mecklenburg County. All right, thanks for tuning in. You're watching WCNC Charlotte. This tornado warning for 5:30 now for Mecklenburg County. It has been whittled down a little bit. Meteorologist Aisha Scott is here in the studio with me, but meteorologist Chris Mulcahy and the First Warn Storm team is out in the storm tracker. And Chris, I know you've been following this pretty closely. What are you seeing? Are you seeing any structure to this system now?
Well, what's interesting, Brad, is just about how quickly it's moving. So 30 miles per hour is actually pretty standard for a tornado, but we're just on the back edge of this right now. So as you can see, we are now trying to get here on 77. I'm going to walk you through exactly what we just went through. For one, there's always going to be the precursor to a tornado. Nothing has been confirmed with this. The broad rotation is really starting to level out, but what we really saw with this system was the intense rain that was with it. The hail started coming down as we were on Tryon, just to the north of the rotation, but you can visibly see a twist to the atmosphere. Now, as we're going to be heading north on 77 here, we're going to drive right back to the back edge of the system. This is actually a 1-2 punch as far as the heavy rain goes. We're right in between that, and you can already see the backside of the tornado warning is starting to expire. Also, on top of this, we're seeing significant ponding on a lot of these low-lying roads. So the rain rates of this are easily about 2 to 4 inches per hour, but they're not going to stick around at that rate in one given location. So we're getting pretty close to 77, get back on 485. It's the northern part of the tornado warning that we're really trying to keep an eye on. But as we are looking at the depictions from the radar, well, the scans that I'm getting right now, we're getting a little bit of blockage. So it's really tough to see what's happening with this system. But I am going to say that there's been a lot of good news compared to bad news over the last 10, 15 minutes. One of the biggest one, the rotation is leveling out. When it's super tight, that's where the funnel can form. However, with this system, it can regenerate easily. This is a classic regeneration process that happens with these storms. We're not seeing that at this point, but it's all by itself. This is a classic supercell. Supercells 100% of the time are going to have hail and have a 30% chance of producing a tornado or at least a funnel cloud. So that's still going to be a possibility, but the heavy rain behind this luckily is coming to an end. We're right in the thick of that second band that is behind it. As this system was leaving, you could see the spin to it. You could see the wall cloud as that lowering was happening. And I think that this is going to be a continued trend. I think that this is going to continue to maintain being a wall cloud as it moves through the southern part of the Charlotte area. But the best news I have, we have not had any damage reports. But certainly when this is moving into your neighborhood, you're likely going to see the hail. If that's the case, absolutely you should already be in your safe spot, but that means it's extra close. And then the heavy rain is also going to be a telltale sign giving you some warnings that it's coming. But as you can see in front of us here on 77, regardless, not a great picture. But behind the system, we're already starting to see the sunshine. So truly, sunshine always follows rain. But we still have more minutes left this tornado warning. I'll send it back to you in the studio as we try to catch up with this system.
Thank you very much. You're exactly what I'm seeing on radar because the system is weakened. I want to do a couple of things, though. I want to show you where we think the circulation, if there is any left in this system, as we go to First Warn Doppler radar. The circulation is probably crossing Highway 16 right now, or Providence Road, you know that area coming out of the Myers Park, Dilworth area, pushing south and east. That is where it looks like the circulation is either weakened or fallen apart. Now, I want to do something else because everybody west of this, all clear. Lake Wiley, you're in the clear. Gaston County, you're in the clear. York County, you're in the clear. So you're okay. You can get out of your shelter location. Pineville, you're out of the woods as well, back towards Arrowwood Road, Park area. But right here, this area right here is what I'm talking about. It's crossing Colony Road. It's about to cross Providence Road, and it's pushing towards the northeast. So this is heading towards areas towards like Plaza Midwood. So think about that area over there as it goes towards Independence, Monroe Road. Going to cross Sardis Road there as well as it pushes off to the north and east. That's the area that we're likely seeing some of that rotation. I want to grab the rotation here, the velocity data. And again, Monroe Road, Sardis Road, Idlewild area, that is in the general area where the rotation has been showing up on first warn Doppler radar. So again, we're not going to let our guard down with this. I'm actually going to turn off the other radar because it's actually making it look a little less severe there. I want to get the closest radar to the site. So again, you actually can almost see that hook right there. This is that appendage coming out. And the reason we look for those is because air is pushing the precipitation this way, and then air on the backside is wrapping around, and that's what presents the hook. That's basically a representation of rotation on the radar. We can also look at the dual pole data, which shows us that rotation there as well. So again, the areas we're talking about is right there near Independence as you're coming out of uptown Charlotte. That's the area that we're talking about. Right there south of Plaza Midwood, the Greer Heights area, Cotswold, east of Myers Park, heading towards the Sheffield Park area, Windsor Park, Eastland Lake area, just south of Charlotte Country Club, North Amity area, Sharon Amity area, Idlewild Farms, Hickory Ridge, Lawrence Elementary School, Eastland Lake area. All those are the areas in the path of this. I actually know the area just north of the Krispy Kreme over there, Fred. That's where it's just north of the Krispy Kreme, heading out just north of Cotswold there. That's where the circulation is. So if you live there, you know someone lives just east of there, that's the area this is moving towards Mint Hill, Willgrove, and the Clear Creek area. So that's the area of concern right now in eastern Mecklenburg County. Now, could this extend into parts of Cabarrus or even maybe northern Union County? Possibly. I think this is trending more towards the southern Cabarrus County area, and that's the area we're watching. Now, Bill, thank you for doing this. You've been grabbing a lot of my tweets and the stuff being sent to us. We're getting some pretty good images of this wall cloud down there, aren't we?
Yeah. Thank you, by the way, to everybody sending us these photos and video. If you can do so, do it safely. It really helps Brad put some eyeballs on what we're seeing here, and he's retweeting a lot of this. Look at this, heavy thunderstorms. This was in Gastonia. This was from our own Brandon Goldner. We've been seeing his video and photo a lot. You can see what Brad was talking about, some of the rotation there, that he retweeted that. And this was one of the more dramatic ones. We were talking about hail earlier. Aisha went into that big explanation of hail. We see some there coming in from Lincolnton. So Jake, thanks for tweeting us that photo. And then this is near Woodruff. Look at the sky here with the dark clouds and the ominous looking skyline there. You can see some lightning. But yeah, these are some great pictures, Brad, that are coming in via our tag board.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see some of the images come in that are matching up exactly what I'm seeing on radar, because we're seeing some of that rotation as well in these exact same pictures. So it's one thing, I love showing the radar. I'm used to looking at radar. Most of you home have no idea this looks like spilled paint on a map. It's great to have those pictures because it really brings home the threat that this storm is posing, because right now this is about to cross Independence, so near Monroe Road. So areas around there, if you know somebody in that area, please tell them to seek shelter. Cotswold, Greer Heights, and then Sheffield Park area. That's the area I'm concerned about, that it's moving. So it's going to continue to move to the east towards Hickory Ridge, Idlewild Farms, and Beckton Park. All those neighborhoods are in the path of this storm, and I'm going to track the rotation. It's pushing off in that direction right there. Again, we'll put a couple cities on there. It's easy for me just to call off the neighborhoods in there. They're not always going to be in our database, but you see that kind of like Willgrove, Mint Hill Road, Lawyers Road, Independence, Monroe, Idlewild Road, all those areas. Harry Ann Drive, that's another road right in that area. And again, if you're familiar with this area, this is just south of the Charlotte Country Club, just south of the heart of Greer Heights. It's clipping Greer Heights and Cotswold, but it's kind of in that just southeastern Plaza, Midwood kind of vicinity. And again, it's about to cross Independence, and hopefully people on Independence or maybe slow down if you can, delay your travel there. That's a busy stretch of road on this time of day as people are coming out of Uptown or going into Uptown, especially on a Thursday. So again, this tornado warning is set for about 20 more minutes. We either going to see a couple things here, Fred. We're going to see this canceled or extended probably in the next couple of minutes. But the fact that we're still seeing some rotation there, and I'm going to look at that real quickly. The rotation has weakened, so I guess that's the good news, that we've seen the rotation weaken, but we're going to probably let this expire at 5:30 just to be on the safe side.
All right, we have crews placed in specific locations to give you a good idea of what this impact is in our viewing area right now. We want to get out to WCNC Charlotte's Ashley Daly, who's out at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Ashley, are a lot of delays going on right now because of this?
Yeah, Fred, it might not look like it. Actually, the sun is out, and we wish really we could give you a better view, but we were actually just in a safe spot taking cover because the storm rolled through here a few minutes ago. Those dark, ominous clouds, the heavy rain, that's what we experienced, but it quickly blew through. However, while that was here, Charlotte Douglas became the #1 most delayed airport in the country. The airport right now experiencing more than 50 flight delays. We are told the FAA also issued a weather advisory, which had a lot of people who were in the air delayed to getting to the ground. We're told those delays were anywhere from 16 to 30 minutes. And of course, those landing delays, the arrivals, delayed departures here on the ground. But we'll continue to follow the delays and what's going on here at the airport. Guys, back to you.
All right, Ashley, thank you. Brad, you just said about 20 more minutes. This could either be extended or expire. I'm sure that the airport will probably, whatever happens with that, it'll dictate what we see at the airport as well.
Yeah, they're in the clear now, but you got to remember some of these flight paths are coming around this. Airline pilots don't want to fly anywhere near these storms because they go up 30, 40,000 feet into the atmosphere, and there's high turbulence and obviously lightning and hail all around them. So they give these things a lot of space. So even though it's not over the airport, Fred, it's impacting a lot of the flight paths into the airport. So this warning, I'm just going to quickly mention this because I know we have people that have friends and family. We've got 2 tornado warnings up in Davidson, Forsyth, and Guilford County. So the Winston-Salem, Greensboro, basically their downtown is under a tornado warning as well with this line. So we want you to make sure if you have the ability to just call people, tell them to be weather aware. We've been saying it, I know, for 3 days. Well, this is the reason why we do it, because these are the type of things that pop up. And people sometimes, even today, people say, hey, nothing's going to happen. It looks like the sun is out. Well, the threat was still there. It went down a little bit, but it didn't go to zero. And this was our concern as these systems were moving into a very unstable air mass this afternoon. Now, meteorologist Aisha Scott is here. And Aisha, this line, I think we've been tracking, it seems like, since 10 o'clock this morning.
It's been a while.
But it's moving to the east, and this is really the main action today.
It is, Brad. And you mentioned the sun came out. So I think something that I guess people tend to forget when it comes to these type of setups, right? Because whenever we have heat, we have humidity. So the dew points have been really high. They've really shot up into the 60s today. That is prime for severe weather. So keep in mind, just because you see the sun out, and this is something to also keep in mind as we work our way into severe weather season, just because the sun comes out doesn't mean everything is clear. And that seems to be a common misconception that I've noticed in my years of doing this, that certainly people see the sun, they let their guard down, and then it's like, oh no, what's going on? So let's show you here what's going on First Warn Doppler radar, because we still have this line. So yes, we've got that tornado warning for Mecklenburg County, but this entire line, even outside of the tornado warning, you're still seeing some hail, although not terribly big hail, but we've seen some hail with these storms. Also, these storms are still producing some really gusty winds. So it's moving off to the east about 30-35 miles per hour. So I want to show you the track here. Again, it's moving off to the east fairly quickly. So Clear Creek about 5:16, going to give or take about 10-20 minutes here. So Locust about 5:26, Big Lick 5:35, Albemarle about 5:42, Norwood 5:56, so just before 6 o'clock, and then Troy just about 6:06 this evening. So again, if you are in the path of this line, even outside of the tornado warning, you still want to be on guard because there could still be some quick spin-ups along this line, and that could kick off another tornado warning. Although, Brad, we have been watching that warning in Mecklenburg County, and it looks like we're starting to see a little bit of improvement, but you certainly don't want to let your guard down.
Yeah, we've got a new tornado warning now for this cell as it moves into northern Union, southern Cabarrus County. So because of the wall cloud pictures you have been sending in, the Weather Service is seeing those as well. That's why I love you guys sharing those with us, because they're following us as well. They're going to keep an eye on what they're seeing. And those wall cloud pictures, which is that lowering cloud, is a sign of rotation. Because of that, they're going to issue another warning for this cell as it moves from eastern Mecklenburg County into southern parts of Cabarrus and northern Union County. But I'll be honest with you, the northern Union County thing, probably going to miss northern Union County. This is really southern Cabarrus County as it moves to the north and east. So I'm going to track the circulation. This is the direction it's heading. So probably the county that needs to be on guard as well is Stanley County, because this is eventually going to move out of southern Cabarrus County and then move over towards parts of southern Stanley County. So where this is at right now, as far as the circulation, it's basically on the north side of Mint Hill, basically near Hickory Ridge, heading towards Bradfield Farms, Allen, Silverwood, the Reedy Creek area, then eventually moving into parts of Rocky River, southern Harrisburg, areas as you go out on 27, very, very rapidly developing area going into southern Cabarrus County on 27 as you head all the way, if you go all the way out to Albemarle eventually, if you keep going out on 27. So let's look at the circulation here, because as I look at this, north side of Mint Hill, right there near Robinson Church Road, near 485 and 24 there, that's where we're seeing that circulation. Harrisburg Road, there's Parkton Road, Willgrove, Pence Road. That's an area right in the middle of your screen that we're seeing some rotation right there. So this is going to cross over 485. So this will be, I believe, the second time this has passed over 485. It did it down near the Steel Creek area, down near the outlet malls there and Top Golf, and then it moved across southern Mecklenburg County. Now it's about to cross areas north of Mint Hill, just north of basically 218 there, coming out of Mecklenburg County and going up towards areas on 24. So this is just south of Harrisburg, not too far from Rocky River. So it's just south of the Rocky River area. This is probably going to pass just north of 601 and 24, but it looks like it's going to be very close to that. That's kind of the track it's taking as it's moving to the north and the east at about 35 miles an hour. So you see that warning. They've dropped the warning now, the old warning. They're just going to keep this Mecklenburg, Cabarrus, Union County warning until 6 o'clock. So this is a new warning. Same storm, just a new warning because it's progressing off to the east. And just a downwind heads up here, areas like Big Lick, Plier, Albemarle, this is heading your direction. So if it maintains itself, which I have a sneaky suspicion, this could cycle back up. You heard Chris Mulcahy talk about this cycling back up. I want to show you the visible satellite image because this storm is all by itself. There is sunshine all around it. So it has plenty of fuel. And remember, with the time change recently, the sun is not setting tonight until about 7:33. So we've got several hours of daylight. The hottest part of the day is actually right now. And so we're creating more warmth for this system to feed off of. And the fact that it's by itself means there's no other storms to interrupt its inflow or to disrupt any of that energy moving into the storm. So again, severe thunderstorm warnings to our north, but tornado warning now in effect for eastern Mecklenburg, southern Cabarrus County, and let's frankly say parts of Stanley County need to be ready. Now, meteorologist Chris Mulcahy has been tracking this thing all day, and Chris, I guess you're still behind it, and just based on my visuals on the visible satellite image, I can imagine the structure on this thing is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and the thing, Brad, is there's only so much you can do in Charlotte traffic in general. So we're on Sharon Road, but talk about that sunshine. So this is the back edge of it, and this is a pretty cool lesson because you can also have the rear flank of the system. And if you look closely off in the distance, I think it's going to be tough to see here for our online, our on-air version. Well, we're seeing a rainbow. There's been a big arching rainbow that's having to deal with this, but it's just off towards the east, so you can see the darker clouds. Again, the system is really starting to become one whole entity. Before there was a second little subsection that was behind it on the radar. Now it's just turned into one supercell. But the good news about that rotation, it's not as tight. It's starting to spread out more, but the heavier rain rates are just absolutely incredible that are coming with this. And now you can see that rainbow a little bit closer on the back side of this. So anyone that already saw the rain mainly west of Interstate 77, you're in the clear. We're also going to add uptown, you're in the clear for this. Anywhere in the tornado watch boxes still, you have to definitely keep your eyes to the sky or get into your safe place, because at this point, at any point, you can have a regeneration of this storm. So stay safe, everyone. Right now, again, we're on Sharon Road. You can see the back side of the system, the flank rear of it.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Now we're going to send it over to Tanya Mendez, who's in York County. Tanya, you were hearing those tornado sirens go off before this storm passed through.
Yeah, those sirens were wild. They were eerie. They were disturbing. They were alarming. They sounded like they wouldn't quit. We heard them start howling, and they lasted for about a minute and just continued going on. But what was a little disturbing was that we had sunshine. We had a little bit of clouds, but we saw some dark clouds off in the distance, and we were sitting here wondering, are we about to get rocked? And then it didn't happen. And if you saw where Chris was and where he was driving, we were only about 2 miles south of him. So we just barely missed all of that rain, all of those dark clouds that he saw. We just barely missed it. But the sirens were enough to certainly scare us. The photographer I work with told me that his wife went into the closet with their 2 kids, their dogs. I had neighbors telling me that they were getting to the central parts of their houses. But meanwhile, right over here in the shopping center that we're at, we still saw people walking in and out of the sandwich shop, clearly oblivious to the sirens that were going off. So definitely a big difference between how seriously people were taking it. We were shouting out the windows, you know, there's sirens going off right now. If you look back around right now, I'll have the photographer I'm with, Reed Bennett, kind of show you. Right off here, you can look at the flag. You can see there's a little bit of breeze right now, and there's still a few clouds, but we've had nothing but sunshine here. Certainly, we were prepared for the worst, expecting to see a little bit more than we did, but all of it just managed to stay just north of us, about a mile or 2 up in York County. And just for some perspective, we're right over by Baxter Village, so we're at the exit 85 off of 77, where Chris was up by exit 88. So just one exit up, but man, what a difference it was, and for a while it was pretty scary out here too. Reporting live in York County, I'm Tanya Mendez, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, thanks, Tanya. I'm just stunned. I'm looking at this. The radar image just came in because just north of Mint Hill that we're seeing a re-intensification of this storm. So what you're looking at here, this is Mint Hill. This is Willgrove, Mint Hill Road. 485 is off to the right there. Allen Station Road, Cabarrus Road is to the northeast. And what I'm looking at there, you see this appendage, or what we call a hook echo. You probably have heard that term. That's because the winds are blowing this direction, forcing the precipitation out the backside. There's warm, humid air coming into the storm from this direction, which is causing that indentation, and that's an indication of rotation. So that's a strong, what we call hook echo. Well, we can also look at data from the reflectivity as well as velocity, which is the wind speeds, and right in that same area we're seeing some very strong winds. It's a little less discerned, but we definitely have a hook echo in that area. Now, I'm going to show you a different radar view. This is a radar out of Greer, South Carolina, and it's showing broad circulation, but the radar beam is intersecting the storm here at about 8,000 to 9,000 feet. So it's showing circulation that's very broad. That's a very broad circulation right here, just to the northeast side of Mint Hill. And it's a little tilted because it's looking higher up, but this storm does have a tilt to it. And it's pushing off towards the southern part of Cabarrus County. So that tornado warning is likely going to stay with us, I think, through 6 o'clock. We might actually see an additional warning, I think, for Stanley County. Now, the thing about Stanley County, that's covered by the National Weather Service office up in Raleigh. So they're going to have to issue that warning. The warnings over us right now are being issued by the Greer office. So you're seeing, they try to collaborate and get together on this. But the fact that we've got this little appendage, which is crossing over 485 right now near Pineville Matthews Road, which meets back up with 485 here going just north of the Mint Hill area. So you're looking at, downtown Mint Hill area, if you come out of 51, heading towards, areas towards True Light Church Road, and then basically heading back towards the 51-485 interchange. That's the area we're talking about. Elliott Manor area up there towards Connolly Road, and then eventually Carolina's Urgent Health Care Center is right there to the southeast of 24. That's the area we're talking about, and it's about to cross over the border going into areas of southern Cabarrus County. So up here just south of Rocky River, Pioneer Mills area, Cabarrus area, that's the southern part of Cabarrus County, and then pushing off to the north and east. So let me do an updated storm track. This is heading into Stanley County. So there's no warning yet for Stanley County. I'm trying to give you guys a heads up. Don't take this storm lightly at all because it has a history of producing rotation. We've seen a couple funnel cloud reports come in. I've also seen several wall cloud pictures come in. I'm looking at my feed right now, and I know Bill McGinty's over at the big board, and Bill, you're looking at a lot of our social media coming in, and when I say wall cloud, a lot of people don't know what that is, but you've got some pictures that would explain it perfectly.
Well, yeah, feel free to jump in, Brad, when I'm going through some of these. We appreciate all the photos and video that you've all been sending. The pictures in the video, very, very dramatic. Not that one, but look, look at this, Brad. You retweeted this. This is in the Steel Creek area. Look at this picture here.
Yeah.
Very.
That lowering you saw at the bottom, you can't see if it's touching the ground. That is likely a wall cloud. So the fact that it's lowering like that is something we keep an eye on.
Heavy rain in Gastonia. That was from our Brandon Goldner. Well, Brad talking about the rotation here. We saw that photo a little bit earlier. There's the hail we mentioned that came in from Lincolnton. And, look at this, Brad. This is amazing. The lightning and the dark clouds. And you see it just kind of dropping down out of the sky like that. The horizon, very ominous, very dark.
Yeah, these type of pictures we're getting look so impressive. And I was telling Chris this when he was in the storm tracker. We've got sunshine around this storm. So the visibility of this storm is pretty spectacular because it's all by itself. But that all by itself thing is not good because these individual cells, you sometimes might hear us refer to them as discrete cells or supercells. When they're by themselves, they are uninhibited from other storms. They don't get interference from their inflow or outflow, and they tend to maintain themselves for long periods of time. So this cell, which is still supercellular, it's still showing rotation, is moving across the Cabarrus Mecklenburg County line. Now, Union County was technically in this warning. The storm is not going to touch any part of Union County. So they just kind of put that little northern tip there just to be on the safe side. But I can give you the all clear. Back towards Mint Hill, you're out of the woods. Everybody west of 485 in southeastern and eastern Mecklenburg County, you're in the clear. If you're east of 485 to the county line, you're still under the threat. And now everybody in southern Cabarrus County and honestly southwestern Stanley County. So southwestern Stanley County, you need to be seeking shelter right now. If you know anybody in these areas, we're talking heading out towards 74, Albemarle Road going all the way out to Albemarle from Mecklenburg County. That's the area we're talking about. If you're traveling that way or you know anybody over that way, let them know they need to get to shelter or just avoid that area for the next 15, 20 minutes. That's all it's going to take for this storm to move on, because once it moves through, it'll be out of here. The all clear can be given back to the west. But Aisha Scott was watching the storm, and I was too. We've got another storm down in Lancaster County, which has a severe thunderstorm warning until 6 o'clock. But it has some indications that it's trying to rotate as well. If I widen this out, and I'm just going to turn the warnings off for a second because they get a little cluttered here. I just want you to look how isolated these storms are. That is not always a good thing. A day like today, when there's so much wind shear, I'm going to show you the visible image. There's sunshine all around these storms. So they are able to have basically a full supply of moisture and heat that is not interfered with by other storms. And because of the wind shear in the atmosphere, they're able to maintain themselves. So these storms, you don't see supercells like this all the time around here, but we're certainly seeing them today. And right now, this storm is fully now into southern Cabarrus County. So this is basically out towards Red Bridge, out towards the golf course there near Red Bridge. This is pushing east towards Locust. This is going to be heading eventually into parts of Stanley County, just north of Big Lick. near Edie, out towards Red Cross, that area, then heading all the way out towards Albemarle. So that's the vicinity where this storm is going. It's actually going to outrace its polygon. Let me remove that. We don't want to put that track the wrong way. The polygon is supposed to go till 6 o'clock, but here we are at 5:28, and this thing is not gonna last till 6. It's gonna make it into areas of Stanley County. So we're gonna do that track right there. And again, don't wait for a warning with this thing in Stanley County. I would go ahead just to be safe. Maybe not go all the way into your safe room. Maybe just go to the middle of the house. Get away from the outside walls and windows. Maybe just, get towards the middle of the house. Stay away from maybe the side of the house where there's a tree or debris that might blow towards the house, those windows in particular. So make sure you get towards the middle of the house in parts of Cabarrus County and Stanley County. So Fred, we're going to keep an eye on this one for a little bit longer, but I have a sneaky suspicion we're going to see a new warning issued here shortly because it's almost outside of the polygon, the first warning, and that's supposed to go till 6 o'clock.
Well, active system there. We're definitely going to come back to you, so stick around, Brad. If you're just now joining us here at 5:30, we continue to track severe weather in our area. A tornado warning has been issued for a good amount of the Charlotte area until 6 tonight.
Right now, our entire area, especially parts of South Charlotte, under that warning. So let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich, who's tracking it all. Hey, Brad.
Yeah, I can give you some all clear here for southern Mecklenburg County. We're all in the clear now in Mecklenburg County. The concern right now is primarily for southern Cabarrus County and southwestern Stanley County, but I also want to keep an eye on this storm in Lancaster because I'm going to quickly flip over to the velocity data here, and we're kind of in a bad spot for radar data. The thing about radar data, it's not infallible because radars are like cell phones towers. The farther away from the tower, the worse the signal. When these radars are in Columbia, South Carolina, Greer, South Carolina, Raleigh, and up in Blacksburg, in this area around here, they get pretty far away from the radar site. So let's look at the velocity data here real quickly. And you can see just southeast of Lancaster, we've got some rotation in there. So that's a storm that we're going to keep an eye on as well because it hasn't taken much for these storms to rotate today across the area. The only tornado warning currently in effect, though, is going to be the tornado warning for Cabarrus County. So you can see all the other areas have been removed from that warning. But I will caution you, heads up Stanley County. I'm going to check with the Weather Service office in Raleigh to see if they're going to issue a warning for that because I have a sneaky suspicion they maybe are not monitoring that as well, is because there are some tornadoes up in the Greensboro, Winston-Salem market as well. And we'll see if they're going to extend that over into Stanley County. But I would go ahead and treat that like that's going to be a warning coming into Stanley County right now.
Yeah, and Brad, you were speaking of that storm that's and pushing through Lancaster County right now. So we were watching this one as well because it looks like it had a little bit of rotation with it, but it is a severe thunderstorm at this point. I want to put on a track 2 for this particular storm because it's moving off to the east about 10-15 miles or so. So you can see here the timing on this storm, about Kirk Air Base about 5:34, Tradesville about 5:38, and then moving towards Crowburg about 5:45, and Taxahaw about 5:50, and then Pageland just after 6 o'clock, and Jefferson about 6:03. So we're also watching this storm down here as well. As Brad mentioned, it's not really near any other storms which could inhibit its growth. So we're going to have to watch this one pretty closely, as well as the storm that does have the tornado warning with it right now in Cabarrus County. I want to get over to meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. He's in the Chevy Storm Tracker. Chris, where are you located right now? Okay, we may not have Chris. There we go.
Yeah, the video, his picture, I'm just going to jump in here. That is spectacular. That is the backside of that supercell which produced the tornado. And from a storm chasing standpoint, this is exactly the chase position you want to be in because now the light is at your back, the storm is in front of you, and tornadoes form on the southwest side of these supercells. So Chris, I know we got your mic up now. I know it's been a long day for you. That's a pretty spectacular view. Tell everybody where you are and the direction you're heading.
All right, so right now we are heading northeast. So this is indeed the backside of that tornado warning. So pretty spectacular. You can see how high up in the atmosphere this goes. This is easily a storm that stretches 30,000 feet up into the atmosphere, but it's beautiful behind this. We saw a rainbow. Once this clears, you're going to be good to go. But Brad, it's been very tough to keep up with this storm system because it keeps on accelerating. Before, it was around 30 miles per hour to 35. Typically, if a tornado is on the ground, on average, they move about 25 miles per hour. So this system is getting caught up with the general swing of that cold front. Again, this used to be a line of showers and storms that we've been following since earlier this morning. Now it's coupled into its segments. So in my opinion, sometimes it's better when you have those quick moving systems that you can still have what is called a spin-up tornado, but this one is a supercell, the ones that you don't want to see. They always produce hail, and they usually have close to about a 1/3 chance of producing a tornado. Luckily for us, I haven't seen any damage as we're following behind this, but certainly impressive storm system as we're now in the safe zone. And if you're seeing blue sky and you saw the rain, you're good to go. But those that are now southeast of Concord moving into Stanley County, right around Locust, this is where we have the heart of this beast. That is where we still have to stay weather aware. But as we have been tracking this, I am happy to say this storm keeps on getting smaller and smaller, so it is starting to exhaust itself, but still has plenty of energy, and that's why we have that tornado warning. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy from the Chevy Storm Tracker. We'll continue marching northeast.
Chris, thank you. Now we do want to get over to our Vanessa Rufus, who has some video of this storm for us. Hey, Vanessa.
Hi there, Sarah. Yeah, we continue to watch the impacts from the storm around our area, and breaking right now, we are getting in some images into our newsroom. Look at this tonight of a tractor trailer crash. This is happening on I-85 northbound near 77. You can see that's a huge mess out there. It looks like part of the cargo is actually spilled out of the truck. The ramp, we're told, at exit 38 is closed because of that crash. So just an important reminder to be safe out on the roadways. Former traffic reporter here. You got to adjust your driving for the conditions. Slower speeds, increased following distance, and then of course you have your lights on as your windshield wipers are on. Now take a listen to this. Certainly an ominous sound here. This is new video as well into our newsroom. You could hear the tornado sirens going off in York County. So this video was taken down in Rock Hill. And so just a reminder, of course, if you are hearing that noise, get to your safe place. Put yourself in that safe location away from windows, closer towards the interior of your home until you get the all clear. And now to this, some new video from Fort Mill, and we could see kind of a disparity here. Dark clouds moving through during this tornado warning, and kind of as Aisha had pointed out a little earlier this afternoon, the disparity between the clouds, but also you can see some points some sunshine beating down on the buildings below, but certainly an ominous sky overhead. So this is right near the Fort Mill Tega K line, and we can hear the tornado siren going off in the background once again. Don't forget, as these storms continue to roll through our area, we will continue to track. Let us know what you are seeing, though, in your area. So please be safe when you do this, but if you can do it safely, text us your pictures or video. You can send them to us. Once again, text 704-329-3600. And thanks to all who have already sent us some footage from your area. Brad, we'll send it back to you right now.
All right. Thank you, Vanessa. Some great pictures out there. Thanks for sending those in. Those will really help people ahead of the storm seek shelter when they can see what it actually looks like. So here's the storm. Tornado warning for Cabarrus County. It's 5:36 on my watch. This goes till 6 o'clock. It's not going to make it that long in Cabarrus County. It's already crossing the border into Stanley County. This is why earlier we were telling you, if you live in Stanley County, I'm going to do a storm track on this. Go ahead and just stay in the middle. Oh, there's the, as I'm speaking, severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Stanley County until 6:15 this evening. So go ahead, get to the middle of your home, away from the outside walls and windows. You may not have to get to the tornado shelter location, but just get to the middle. Because this storm has had a history of producing tornadoes, rotation, and hail, I'm going to want you to go ahead and take those precautions just the same. Be on the safe side. It is moving to the east towards Red Cross in Albemarle, Stanley County, all those areas up there in eastern Stanley County, those areas north of Norwood. So basically Big Lick, Plyer, New London, Albemarle, down towards River Haven, and El Dorado. So those areas heading out towards central North Carolina, please seek shelter from this storm just because of the history it has. And again, the sun might be completely out around you. We've seen that throughout the afternoon. Now, I also want to give people the heads up for this storm down in Lancaster County because it's moving into southern Union County. This storm bears watching as well. It has had a history of some rotation within it. And if I look at the radar right now, just east of Lancaster on Highway 9, heading out towards Tradesville, we've got some broad rotation within this storm. Right here, there is some rotation that I can see on first warn Doppler radar showing up right there. So the potential that we could see a quick spin up with there. I'll widen this back out and we'll show you the overall view. I want to give an all clear though for areas that are in the clear from severe. So what I'm going to do is, I promised to do more of this today, was to say, because I don't want people sitting in shelter locations for longer than they have to. This area right here, this is the all clear area. So if you live basically west of that yellow line into that yellow circle, all clear from severe, you can get out of your shelter location. You can go about what you were doing, but just keep an eye on the weather here. The tornado watch has been canceled in those areas as well. But the storm of concern, two of them actually, is going to be this storm near Big Lick heading towards Albemarle. It's got a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning with it. So that's up until 6:15. And then this storm, which is probably going to prompt a warning here for parts of Union County, North Carolina, northern part of Chesterfield, and probably Anson County in North Carolina. Let me do a quick track on that one because that one is going to head towards Wadesboro and cross over 74. So areas towards Pageland, Allen's Crossroads, eventually heading all the way up towards areas towards Russellville, Wadesboro, Anson County area, the southern part of Anson County, Morven, and then the PD area. So just a heads up, that storm is likely going to be warned for here momentarily. But again, the last tornado warning is getting set to not expire. It's probably going to get canceled early as that storm is now weakening quite a bit. Sun is coming out in many locations across Charlotte. I think Chris made a good point that if you're seeing the sun now after the rain has moved through, you're in the clear. It's pretty good indication that you're done with the severe weather once the system moves through. And Fred, we're keeping an eye on just two storms right now. And what was started off as a quiet day with the fog, the drizzle and mist, but that warm front came up and it's like it just lit a match and these storms just took off.
Wow. Yeah. Really quickly, I want to show you guys something that we're tracking here. This is a traffic accident. This is at I-85 southbound, right where that traffic merges at Graham. We're told there are 5 cars involved there. You can see some of the traffic there on the left-hand side there, blocked off, people merging to the right there, and traffic on the flip side moving along as it normally would. I want to check in now with our meteorologist, Aisha Scott, who is tracking more of these warnings in our viewing area.
Yeah, Fred, and Brad mentioned we're keeping an eye on this storm that's pushing through Lancaster County. So I want to show you here what we're watching for, because whenever we talk about rotation, we're always looking for, or at least most times, we're looking for the green and the red right beside each other. So I want to show you this. This is our Doppler wind product. So you can see the red up here. That shows winds moving away from the radar. So this is using our Charlotte radar. So the radar is up here, but then we've got this green, and that's showing the winds moving towards the radar. So when we have the green, those winds moving towards, we have the red with those winds moving away. That's where we could see, that's where we're seeing some rotation right now. So near Tradesville, right along Route 9, this is Route 522. So right at that intersection, actually moving through Tradesville, is really the area that we're watching for rotation with this storm. So this is a severe storm, and I want to put a track on it for you because it's moving generally to the northeast, about 15 or so miles per hour. So it moving through Tradeville actually right now, moves into Pageland about 6:06, and then Hornsboro about 6:24. It starts to move into Ruby about 6:40, Wadesboro 7:06, and then over towards Ansonville about 7:17, and Cheraw about 7:25. So this one, not at least no tornado warrant tags on it right now, but it is a severe storm and it's moving off to the northeast. So we're going to watch this one pretty closely, again, because of some fairly broad rotation at the moment that it has on it, but it certainly bears watching, Brad.
Yeah, we've got several severe thunderstorm warnings out there right now, so I want people to be aware of those as well as we kind of go around the area. There's only 3 thunderstorms in the entire viewing area, and all 3 of them have a warning. The first one, as Aisha was just talking about, we'll go down to that area one in Lancaster County. The one, the tornado warning, I see it there. It's out of the polygon. It's actually now just a severe thunderstorm warning for Stanley County. But back into the mountains, we've had some storms that are likely producing some large hail. Up in Watauga County and parts of Ashe and Wilkes County. This area near Meat Camp just north of Boone, Howard's Knob area there in the north side of town. I got a good spotter up there. I haven't looked at Twitter. I bet he's getting hail right now on the mountain there because that is right on the mountain. And the fact that we're seeing cloud to ground lightning with the cold air aloft, there's probably hail coming out of that storm. And oh, by the way, we've got several tornado warnings up near the Greensboro area as well as this line pushes off to the east. So we're starting to see almost any storm that's by itself able to maintain itself and actually produce some severe weather. But right now, the tornado threat, at least in these 3 storms, has diminished. It's primarily hail and wind, but because the way the atmosphere is set up today, any one of these can produce a tornado with little or no warning. In fact, this one in Lancaster County, it definitely could get warned for any minute now here based on the rotation. I'm just looking at the radar here. This is a pretty tight couplet showing up in this area. So this is in east of Lancaster and Highway 9 near the Chesterfield County line. So this is going out east towards some of the watermelon farms there, heading towards eastern part of Lancaster County into northern Chesterfield County towards Pageland. Some beautiful country down there as you go just north of 123, heading up towards Tradesville. Shiloh Unity Road area. There was a tornado touchdown there, I think it was about 4 years ago, just near Shiloh Trinity Road, and then crossed the border into Union County there. It's kind of in no man's land for radar. It actually went up towards the Alton area, and that's basically that same area. So it's kind of where those 3 counties come together: Union County, North Carolina, Chesterfield County, South Carolina, and the far northeastern part of Lancaster County. So that's an area of circulation. There's no tornado warning yet, but like I've done with a lot of these storms today, I want you to treat all of these storms as if they could produce a tornado with a little or no warning. And Bill, you've been getting a lot of pictures in from across the area. It's just amazing the number of images of these lowerings, or what we call wall clouds.
Yeah, we've been following a lot of what you're sending us, and we appreciate that. And as Brad always says, if you can do so, it's such a benefit to him to be able to put eyes on this, because you're the eyes and the ears out there. So to be able to send us video and photos safely, albeit, really helps us out. Look at this photo. This is Regent Park. Holly, I've seen a couple of your things already, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much for sending this. This was it moved over Carowinds Boulevard earlier in the day. Tanya Mendez, this was her reporting from the Baxter Village area just off of 77 at exit 85, right over the South Carolina line. And, clear skies there, but the tornado sirens were going off. Look at that. That's one of the better pictures we've seen here in the last 20 to 30 minutes. This is the Pineville area right at about 5 o'clock today when Brad was issuing the warning for that area. This is some of the drone video that somebody sent us from Fort Mill. Phil, nice hyperlapse there, showing the clouds racing by, and then looking from Rock Hill towards Lake Wiley. Lake Wiley was one of the centers that Brad was talking about a little bit earlier. So again, if you can send us these photos and you can keep doing that, we appreciate it as the storm starts to move eastward, because Brad, as you said time and time again, this really helps you put eyeballs on what's happening out there.
Yeah, and it's a great use to the public as well, and I'll tell you why, because we've found that, the radar is one thing, but when people can see that there's actually something underneath there, they tend to pay attention to these warnings a little more closely. So let me do a quick tour. We've got, as I mentioned, 3 storms, 3 warnings. Now, all tornado warnings have been allowed to be expired or canceled, kind of what I expected, but we've got 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. One for Lancaster County till 6 o'clock. That storm is crossing over into parts of Chesterfield County, southern Union County, and I will tell you there is some strong rotation in that storm, so don't be surprised if we get a tornado warning with that at some point. The other severe thunderstorm warning right towards Albemarle, between Big Lick and Albemarle and Mount Pleasant, heading into central parts of Stanley County. So real quick storm track on that. That is moving off to the east fairly quickly. You could see it pushing to the east at about 35 miles an hour. So Albemarle, you've got about 5 minutes heads up. You probably see it coming because it's completely sunny and then the sky turns dark and you're hearing the rumbles. Large hail in that as well. Got a car outside, garage it. Especially got the nice car, do the best you can. Get it to the carport, get it maybe even under a tree if you can. You always worry about putting it under a tree. It protects it from the hail, but you're probably going to get some branches on it. And then up into Watauga County, this is definitely a big hailer. It's got some hail in it as well. I'm going to look at the hail parameter here just to see. It actually doesn't look that impressive based on that. But there's definitely, just looking at the structure of the storm, it certainly looks like it's got the possibility of some hail in it because it's so strong. I'm actually going to do our Doppler slicer here if I can get it to work. We'll slice this storm in half and give you a nice little cross section because I think this is where you're going to see the large hail in there. And again, notice it's not a very tall storm, but it's on the mountain there and the freezing heights have dropped to around 10,000 feet. So hail definitely a sure bet in that storm as it moves in from Tennessee, and again, severe thunderstorm warnings with that. We'll widen it back out, kind of do a loop here just to regroup. You're seeing some tornado warnings. Those are up in the Greensboro area. This line, we knew it was moving into an environment that was pretty friendly for tornadic activity. The day started off, we thought this line would be here early in the morning. It slowed down. We were fogged in with cool conditions, drizzle, mist. Everyone says, oh, nothing's going to happen. It wasn't that quite the case because the threat decreased a little bit but didn't go to zero. And the concern about mid-morning was we saw the sun come out and the warm front fly up from the south. And that destabilized the atmosphere and gave fuel to all these storms. So we've got a new storm trying to pop up south of the Shelby area. We'll have to keep an eye on that one as well. But I did give the all clear for areas to the west. And just to reiterate that, I want to show you that the tornado watch has been canceled for a few more counties. It's been extended to the east, though. So what's happened is we're whittling counties down from the west, but we're adding counties off to the east. So tornado watch has been extended now into areas of Anson, Stanley, and Richmond counties. And I think that's going to go later than 6 o'clock. I'll have to look at actually how far the watch, I'm going to check real quickly. Aisha, did you see how long that watch was extended over there?
Let's see.
Let me look at it real quick. I think it's probably going to go a little bit later, from 9 p.m. So it looks like it's going to 9 p.m. For the eastern part of that watch. But those expiration times are always kind of fluid because eventually, as the storms weaken, they don't leave the watch up. They will actually cancel it out early. So let's go back to the radar, show you where we stand with the 3 warnings right now. This all started during our 4 o'clock news with a storm that, frankly, I could see we were going to see a tornado warning with it eventually just because of the formation right over Lake Wiley. And then that storm continued to track across Mecklenburg County, into Cabarrus County, and eventually now into Stanley County. So that's where that storm is now, potentially producing some damaging winds. Now, this warning here, this is the one that Aisha pointed out, and rightfully so, that we've got some broad rotation between Tradesville and Pageland. So this is moving into northwestern part of Chesterfield County, and that area is pretty ripe for further development down in that area because that's an area that was untouched by anything today. There was a lot of sunshine out. In fact, that was an area that warmed up real quickly.
Yeah, and speaking of warmth, Brad, I wanted to pull up the temperatures really quick because we still have temperatures in the low to mid 70s farther to the south and southeast of Charlotte. So like Rock Hill, Sharon, Wadesboro, Rockingham, we've got temperatures in the 70s. And those dew points have primarily been in the 60s today. I think we're probably still sitting in the 60s. Yeah, so we've got dew points right around 60 degrees farther to the south and southeast. I should say, of Charlotte. So you can see here, we've got the warmth, we've got the moisture as well, and we certainly have the shear that we've been dealing with today. And as I mentioned earlier, that once you have some of that sunshine, it helps to kind of cook up the atmosphere a little bit. And as Brad mentioned, this part of our viewing area has not really been touched. So certainly we'll have to keep an eye on this storm moving off to the northeast that's pushing through Lancaster and also starting to move into parts of Chesterfield and Union County, Anson County as well, Brad.
Yeah, it's funny how we only have like 3 storms, Aisha, And those are the 3 storms that have produced severe weather today, and we're going to have to keep watching all 3 of those. We're still getting great pictures. I was typing as you're talking, so I apologize. Thanking all our followers online because we're getting so many amazing images from people at home that are watching on their live stream, on our app, our Amazon Fire TV, which launched yesterday, our app there. So if you're watching on all these devices, thank you, and thank you for the pictures. They do help not only us, they help your neighbors get prepared for this weather. They also help the Weather Service confirm and verify some of these warnings, and even could bring them out to do surveys if they think there was a tornado or a downburst to look at later. So heads up in Albemarle, we've got some large hail moving into your area. That's a storm that I've been watching for a while, because this is the same storm that produced the tornado warning over parts of Mecklenburg County, and I just grabbed the wrong thing there, so apologize. We'll grab the slicer here, and just to put this storm and move it in half, you can see this one's climbing up to around 20,000 feet. Now that's a really cool visual, but I actually have images just sent to me from Andy, and he's at University City looking back towards this, and I can't bring it up right now, but I just retweeted it, so maybe Bill can bring it up later. It actually looks like this in real life. It's this big mushroom cloud off in the distance. It looks like cauliflower. If you've ever seen cauliflower, the white bubbly, that's what a top of a thunderstorm looks like. We often think of thunderstorms as dark, billowing clouds, but from the top and from the distance, they're bright white on the top. Those are that cumulonimbus cloud that produces these, or a thunderhead. And you can see that thing is spiking up close to around 30,000 feet. Remember the other day we were talking about the wind shear in the atmosphere. Any storm that could get tall enough was going to produce severe weather. Aisha was talking about the temperatures. Now behind this first batch of rain, things have cooled down, but at one point today, our temperatures were in the low 50s, and in a matter of 3 hours shot up into the mid 70s. And Fred, that is all it takes. I think Aisha talked about this perfectly. Sunshine on a day like today is a bad thing. We actually would have loved to stay fogged in all day, because sunshine is fuel for these severe storms.
Yeah, we saw the indication of how people responded to that warning siren.
Yeah.
Where Tanya Mindis was. It didn't even seem like it was. It had the effect because the weather looked like a beautiful day.
And I will say something about sirens. They are outdoor warning devices only, and the sound can't stop at the border of the polygon. So sometimes those warnings from the sirens will go over a distance where there's no bad weather. That happens quite a bit.
Yeah. Quite the sight, though, as we continue to track the storm. I mean, I'm sorry, say that again? All right, yeah. I want to bring in our other meteorologist, Aisha Scott, who's taken a look at this as well. Aisha, things seem to have calmed down for the inner core of the Charlotte area as they move out.
Yeah, Fred, Brad and I have been talking about, so right now we don't have any tornado warnings in effect. However, we've got a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, and this storm that's over Lancaster right now, and that's pushing into Union County, that will be moving into parts of Anson County as well. This is the storm we've been watching. It's actually moved out of its polygon right now, but I want to show you the velocity, because we talked about how do we identify rotation, and it's all based on the Doppler wind. So it depends on the winds going towards the radar, the winds going away from the radar, and we can actually see a little bit of rotation here still. That's just east of Tradesville. You can see Pageland over, and it's sort of right in between Tradesville and also Pageland. So that's where we're watching some of that rotation right now. I think we're sending it over to Fred.
Yeah, Aisha, really quickly, I want to remind people to make sure they download the WCNC Charlotte app. You can also get the latest forecast and radar on that app. It's free in your app store. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. In about 2.5 minutes, we'll be back with our 6 o'clock newscast.
Get 0% APR for 84 months on a new Titan during the Thrill of the Drive sales event at Rock Hill Nissan.
This season, Wheels giving away car.
large hail. Now, meteorologist Aisha Scott here with me right now. And Aisha, we still have some isolated storms out there, and the isolated storms are always a concern to us.
Right, Brad, because here's what you have to keep in mind. When it comes to these storms, a lot of times if they're in clusters, one storm can kind of shut off the next storm, but that's not what we're doing this evening, and that's not what we have out there right now. So we've got some really isolated storms. I want to show you here, I took off the warning for this storm that's pushing through or into really Anson County. So I took off the warning, but this is a severe storm. You can see, as Brad mentioned, those positive lightning strikes. So those are the lightning strikes that come from the top of the cloud, and they're a lot of times a lot stronger too than the negative strikes that we typically see with these storms. But it's moving off to the northeast, and we were watching this one because there was actually some rotation with it, and still seeing some broad rotation with this storm as it pushes over Pageland right now. Again, it's moving off generally to the northeast, and then there was another storm that's actually just south of it that we were also watching that had some broad rotation as well that will likely move into parts of southern Lancaster County and maybe pushing into parts of Chesterfield County as well. So we're watching that storm too, Brad.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to that storm in the southeastern part of Union County and to parts of Anson County. We have got, I put a Doppler slicer on there. We sliced this thing in half to show that big core in there. So there's likely some large hail or damaging winds associated with that storm. So that storm we're keeping an eye on. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a warning issued with that cell as well. And we'll widen it out real quickly and just show you the overall view, because we do still have some tornado warnings up in between the Triad and the Triangle area that we're keeping an eye on as well outside of our viewing area. But if you do have friends or family up in that area, please make sure they know about that severe weather up in that area. Chris Mulcahy has been out in the Chevy Storm Tracker all day long. Chris, where are you at in comparison to the in comparison to some of these other storms out there? What have you seen out there as you've been chasing these throughout the afternoon?
Yeah, well, thanks a lot. Well, right now we are now heading on 74. So right ahead of you is that storm that we've been talking about in the southeastern part of Union County. So we shifted our focus from that tornado warning that turned over to a severe thunderstorm warning. That was moving way too quick. We could barely keep up with it. So now we're adjusting our attention to the one that is now, I think, the biggest cause of concern. Even though it doesn't have a warning, this thing is still pretty well organized. So there's still a chance that once it gets up to gusts to 58 miles per hour or quarter-size hail, then it would have that severe thunderstorm warning. But this has been quite the ride. You can just see the definition of some of the clouds as we're riding up on this storm. The biggest telltale sign that we've been seeing is that wall cloud. So that's just that base that's been dropping down. Another idea is seeing the shelf cloud. Now, I think most likely in these scenarios, because these are supercells or these singular cell events, that we are going to focus on that dropping, that lowering of the base of the storm. Now, most likely when you're driving, you're just going to be seeing those darker clouds off into the distance, but it's that finite center of the storm. They'll have the chance for rotation and also usually the hail core. And we were seeing some hail a little bit earlier in the day. That was around Lincolnton, but that one system that we had that tornado warning now about an hour and a half ago, that did have up to about some dime-sized hail. So that's going to be the possibilities, especially when the storm is getting this tall. We're going to continue our venture here on 74, heading right towards that storm as it does have a chance to become severe. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy reporting from the Chevy Storm Tracker.
All right, Chris, stay safe out there. Let's take a live look at FlightAware's misery map. You can see there are a lot of issues at the airport. This weather delaying some flights, so let's send it out to WCNC Charlotte's Ashley Daly live at the airport for us today. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Sarah, you're right. That misery map is very telling of the situation here at Charlotte Douglas. Charlotte Douglas, now the most delayed airport in the country, and that is by a long shot. More than half of all flights, according to FlightAware, are delayed here. Now, of course, that is all due to the weather that blew through. We are told the FAA actually issued a weather advisory right before the storm came through, which, according to FlightAware, delayed flights that were in the sky, delayed them from landing for about up to 30 minutes. And that, of course, trickled down here to the airport in terms of departures as well. So if you do plan on flying out tonight, go ahead and check check with your airline first just to see if it is on time. Now, Brad, I did want to show you this because we are up on the top of the daily parking deck, or the hourly parking deck here at Charlotte Douglas, and we have just an incredible advantage point of this storm. Now, I am no meteorologist by any means, but I just think it's so cool that the line of this storm is so distinctive from this viewpoint. You can see the city line there, and it is just a clear cut line of where this storm cuts off. So I think a lot of people here at Charlotte Douglas happy that the sun is now out, flights are now taking off and landing, but of course the weather still causing a few delays. Guys, back to you.
Ashley, thank you. With the threat of severe weather, several local school districts decided to make today a virtual day. So students, we wanted to know, how do local leaders make those decisions? And is this something they'll use more often now that students are accustomed to that at-home learning? WCNC Charlotte's Tanya Mendez here to answer those questions in York County. Hey, Tanya.
Hi, so we actually have been talking to leaders all across the area, but most of our conversations were in Lancaster County. I talked to their transportation supervisor. He also oversees safety. He said these conversations started days ago, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it.
One of the things about wind and tornadoes is you don't get a lot of warning.
School district leaders across our area watching the timing of this storm system for days didn't like what they saw.
And that's basically prime time for us because we start driving buses and we start dismissing.
Lancaster County, one of the first in our area to close schools and switch to remote learning.
We're just playing the odds, and certainly we're not going to take a chance with student lives or staff lives.
Worried about inexperienced student drivers, teachers with long commutes, and buses on the roads.
It doesn't take a lot of wind shear to push a bus off the roadway.
Early dismissal wasn't worth the risk either. Last February, when a massive storm system rocked our area.
Here comes the storm.
Around the same time, schools dismissed early and buses were on the roads. A tree fell on a car driving on Pleasant Road in York County, killing the woman inside. That same day, a school bus in Iredell County drove through a flooded road with students still on the bus.
At the end of the day, we have to err on the side of safety for kids.
So one of the things that we heard a lot today was from CMS parents who are complaining that that school district took so long to make its decision. Parents saying they didn't get phone calls until 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning today. We reached out to CMS to ask them about what went into their decision making and the timeline. They never got back to us. So I asked Lancaster's safety director what he thought and why CMS takes longer. He said it's a much larger district than theirs. There's a lot more that goes into it. Lancaster, for example, only has a couple dozen schools. CMS has a lot more. It's a much bigger school district, so there's a lot more that goes into those decisions, so they take longer. Reporting live, I'm Tanya Mendez, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, thank you, Tanya. And we want to make you a part of our storm coverage from the safety of your home. Open the WCNC Charlotte mobile app, click Near Me on the bottom right-hand corner. From there, you can upload videos and photos, and you can even see what your neighbors are posting too.
Thanks, Fred. We still have several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for parts of Anson, Richmond County, 645. Got some large hail, gusty winds. Albemarle out towards Stanley County, severe thunderstorm warning. Also, Watauga and Ash just got some big hail pictures out of the Watauga County area. I'll break down all the warnings and have the rest of your forecast with Aisha Scott when we return.
Welcome back. We are tracking strong storms pushing through the Charlotte area this evening. This is a live look at First Warn Doppler radar. Keep it here. Our coverage of the severe weather continues in just a few minutes. And we're getting new information tonight about a stinky smell in the air affecting communities from South Charlotte all the way to southern York County. We brought you this story a week ago after several residents said they were being plagued by what smells like rotten eggs. The state launched an investigation into where the smell is coming from. WCNC Charlotte's Lexi Wilson is live tonight in Rock Hill. Lexi, have officials discovered the origin of this smell?
Well, unfortunately, they have not. They say they are still gathering data in their investigation, but now they're asking for the community's help to get answers.
This is a priority for us.
It's stinky in York and Lancaster counties. State officials say they're still trying to figure out why.
These complaints are very widespread. There may be multiple sources.
Residents are aggravated. Some compare the odor to rotten eggs, calling it unbearable.
It's certainly unpleasant.
It can be pretty strong some days.
Meanwhile, DHEC is meeting with the new Indy Container Board facility in Catawba and with officials of nearby wastewater treatment plants.
We're looking at it from an air quality compliant standpoint, wastewater compliant.
They also launched this form to gain specific information from the public on where and when they smell the stench. Since March 12th, over 380 people have submitted complaints. Now they're asking more community members to fill out the form to target the cause of the odor.
So valuable information to us, and we really need it.
And it's also important to note that state officials say the air is not toxic. They will also be releasing a citizen's report tomorrow on what they found so far in their investigation. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the latest, but for now, reporting live in Rock Hill for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson. Back to you.
Back to your forecast now, Brad. We have some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. So what's the latest?
A lot of areas starting to clear out once that line moves through. So if you start to see the sunshine come out like we're seeing in South Charlotte right now, you're in the clear. I can give the all clear to many areas around Charlotte West. You can see the sunny skies developing in many locations. But as you mentioned, Sarah, we do have a couple warnings and some tornado warnings up to the north. Now, those tornado warnings are up towards the Greensboro, Raleigh area outside of our viewing area. But you can see we've got some strong storms still moving through parts of the Sandhills. This one's about to exit Stanley County. The strongest storm in our area is moving towards Wadesboro. You can see the strong southerly winds that are feeding these storms, and there's a band that extends back into the Midlands of South Carolina. That band there potentially could produce some strong winds, some hail, and an isolated tornado as well. But back towards the west, you could see skies have cleared for the most part. We did have a warning up in the mountains earlier. That has been allowed to expire. So for most areas across the Piedmont, we are just now starting to clear out. But let me go to the warnings first. We'll do this warning, which is currently in effect for parts of Anson and Richmond County. Let me do a quick track on that as it moves towards the Rockingham area. And again, if you're in the path of this storm, go ahead, get towards the middle of the house, away from the outside walls and windows, because there could be hail, damaging winds, but also we've seen a history of tornadoes spinning up and some wall clouds forming in these storms as they moved through this afternoon. As far as the forecast this evening, you could see these storms are going to exit pretty quickly. We will see some lingering clouds and showers for the overnight hours, but this will be a cold rain with the upper low, mainly just rain. We're not looking at anything severe as those systems move through the area. This will actually clear things out going into tomorrow. And meteorologist Aisha Scott is looking at this forecast. And Aisha, it looks like the worst of us is beyond, but maybe not the rain just yet.
Yeah, not the rain, Brad. It's going to stay a little on the gloomy side, a little bit of rain as well. So I want to take you through the rest of this evening. And as Brad mentioned, we're continuing to watch the line that's moving through right now. So it starts to push a little bit farther to the east by 7, 8 o'clock. We are clear, though, by then. But notice what happens. We've got more clouds moving across the area. That's because we've got an area of low pressure that's higher up in the atmosphere. So Brad mentioned that upper level low. That moves through, and that actually creates a little bit more cloud cover and also some showers breaking out tomorrow morning. 6 o'clock in the morning, if you've got to head out out for work early, you'll likely run into some rain. Now by tomorrow afternoon, notice what happens 2-3 o'clock. The rain is gone, but the clouds will hold on. So tomorrow will be a cooler day. It will also be a gloomy day as well with those clouds sticking around. Now the winds today have been quite gusty. We're still seeing some gusty winds from Monroe over to Rockingham and Cheraw, 23, 24, 25 mile per hour wind gusts. As we work our way through the rest of tonight, again with that upper level low pushing across the area, our winds will pick up once again tomorrow morning. So 7 o'clock in the morning Friday, we've got some breezy conditions. We could see gusts as high as 25, 30 miles per hour. And tomorrow afternoon, this is 3 o'clock, still quite gusty with winds about 20, 25 in the mountains. However, we could see those gusts 30, 35 across the Piedmont tomorrow, and then things start to quiet down a bit into the weekend. Now look at these temperatures. Today we climbed well into the 70s. However, the warmth and also the humidity that we had across the area today really helped to fuel those storms. So tomorrow into the weekend, it's cooler. We're back into the 60s Sunday and then mid 60s as we work our way into early next week, Brad. So what a wild day, but we've got some big changes coming.
I feel like we had 3 seasons just in the last 12 hours, it felt like today. And and it's weird. We're going back to cool temperatures. As Aisha mentioned, you know, that upper low is going to cause some cool rain tonight. Temperatures only in the 40s and 50s in a lot of neighborhoods. So a pretty cool overnight period. And this weekend, I know everybody got the itch to put the garden and flowers in. We were trying to warn you, it's still too early. And this is why, because the morning lows Saturday and Sunday morning are going to be at or below the freezing mark. So likely a frost or freeze this weekend. And the good news is I don't see any thunder in the forecast for the next 7 days. We'll get a chance to recover as temperatures warm back up next week. We should see temperatures back into the 60s, into the low 70s. We're going to have more news coming up right after the break.
Hey everybody.
Thunderstorm warning for a couple more minutes here until about 6:45 for parts of Anson and then out towards Richmond County. This is right around the Wadesboro area. Still a lot of cloud to ground lightning and gusty winds. Just heads up, there is some hail in this, so if you have a garage, put the car in there right now. I'm going to do a quick storm track on this as this moves from eastern Anson County into Richmond County. Heads up in Rockingham. This is heading your way. Should be there at about 6:50. The warning is set to expire, though, at 6:45, Fred.
All right, thank you for keeping us safe, Brad, and thank you for joining us. NBC Nightly News is next.
We'll see you back here at 11.
Download the WCNC Charlotte News app. Powered by the #1 TV news website in Charlotte, WCNC.com.
At Toyota.